And now we are discussing the summary of chapter number 14, that is sources of energy of subject science standard 10th. So first of all, let us understand what is energy. It's nothing but already we have seen in standard 8 that it's an ability to do work. What is energy? It's an ability to do work. So what are the different sources of energy? Actually, on the whole solar system, we are having the only source of energy, and that is none other than our Suraj Dada, our sun. Right? This is the only and ultimate source of energy by virtue of which we get energy. But mankind has been very much acquainted to get energy for cooking the food, for heating, etc. as firewood. Wood has been used since centuries, thousands of years for getting energy. Now, what are the different characteristics of the ideal energy sources? This question may be asked even in the examination. It should have a high efficiency, it should have low smoke, it should be easily available, and it should be abundantly available, and it should be hazard free. It should not pose any problem to humankind as well as any person. It should not lead to any diseases. Right? Less accident prone. It should not be like nuclear reaction that it may be hazardous to our body and health. Right? The storage should be easy and it should be economically viable. ऐसा ना हो कि वो सोने की लंका से सोना लाने का खर्चा सोने से ही बढ़ जाए. Right? So it should be economically viable. Now, what are the different types of source of energy? Two types. Conventional and non-conventional. Conventional means जो पहले से चले आते हैं. Non-conventional means some sort of improvement in those type of sources. A new type of the sources. They are not conventional. So they are known as non-conventional. Conventional sources are wood, coal, fossil fuels, petroleum, etc. Right? Now what are the fossil fuels? How they are formed? Already we have known about this, that they are actually formed from the jungles and the dinosaurs which were deeply trapped inside the earth under the very high temperature and pressure, and they are converted into coal and petroleum. These are actually non-renewable because once we are just going to use it, they are soon going to exhaust. And remember well that petroleum used to be just exhausted within say 40 to 50 years. Means that is in your lifespan itself. And major part of our energy is unfortunately met by fossil fuels. So we'll have to look for certain alternatives because they are soon going to be exhausted. Now, what are the disadvantages of the fossil fuels? They are non-replenishable. Means you are constantly exhausting those sources, and one day will come that you won't find coal and petroleum. अगली पीढ़ी को ये बताना पड़ेगा भैया कौन सा ऐसा काला होता है, वो हमारे पुरखे, हमारे पूर्वज लोग, हमारे ancestors used to get energy from this type of the source and this is known as coal. ऐसा भी होगा आने वाला, देखिए अभी. Less efficient. Hardly we are getting 40% efficiency. It leaves ash and it will exhaust soon. So definitely we'll have to go for the alternative. It is polluting in nature. It gives oxides of carbon, nitrogen and sulfur in the environment which lead to acid rain and greenhouse effect which leads to increase in the temperature of the earth and ultimately melting of the icebergs, melting of the ice and ultimately increase in the water level. So may submerge the seashore cities, the coastal cities like New York, Washington, Mumbai, etc. Right? Now what are thermal power plant? Thermal power plant are those power plants from where we get electricity with the help of the heat. Right? Mostly very big in size and mostly coal is used as a fuel for the production of electricity and heat. Mostly they are near rivers. Why? Because they require lots of water for the cooling purposes. This is the working principle of thermal power plant. We get steam from the boiler and boiler will give that steam and that steam will be utilized to rotate the turbine will rotate the generator and generator will produce electricity. And this is the photo of thermal power plant. Now, what are the disadvantages of the thermal power plant? It is having very low efficiency, nearly 40%, very polluting in the nature, requires huge amount of water, coal and machineries. A great amount of ash will be there as a wastage. Boilers sometimes may explode due to the excessive temperature and it is very complex in manufacturing. Now, the next topic is that of the hydropower plant. As the name itself indicates, water will be utilized. The energy, the potential of energy of water will be utilized for the production of electricity. How do we use it? Actually, we construct a big dam and potential energy will be there in that water. The water will come out through the gates and then it will rotate the turbines and turbine will produce electricity through the generator. But one thing is very clear that it is very cheap, long lasting nature, right? It is renewable because every year we will get water replenished in the catchment area of the dam, and this is multi-purpose in the nature, means we get a very big submerged pond where we can do fishing, hunting, electricity will be produced, it will be also utilized, the water may be utilized for the water for the irrigation and drinking. So these are generally multi-purpose project. But what are the disadvantages? They are very costly in the construction. Environmentally, they put a big impact due to vast area of water submerged area, right? Accident in case of dam failure, what to do if the dam itself breaks away, right? Thousands of the people may just kill or drown inside that water. Rehabilitation of the people under the submerged area, it poses a very big problem. अगर आपको कोई बोल दे कि भैया आपको मैं 5 लाख दूंगा, आप अपना गांव छोड़ के इस गांव में बस जाइए, it will be very difficult, right? Tehri Dam and Sardar Sarovar Dam, आप लोगों ने सरदार सरोवर डैम मेरे ख्याल से देखा हो, अगर नहीं देखा हो देख लेना. You will feel as if a whole ocean is there. इतनी बड़ी मतलब की तालाब है, सरोवर है, डैम है कि आपको अगला छोर ही नहीं दिखेगा. स्टैच्यू ऑफ यूनिटी भी वहां बना है. Once you should visit. Now this is the working principle of hydroelectrical power plant, where water will be just utilizing the potential energy into kinetic energy, and kinetic energy of this water will be used to rotate the turbine, and then this turbine will start rotating, and this turbine will lead to the fast rotation of generator, and then that generator will produce electricity, right? Now we have seen that these are the conventional sources possess certain problems, so some sort of improvements are required in this type of the conventional sources so that the overall efficiency of these plants increases. So how can we do it? For example, this is a biomass. Bio means something related to living. For example, firewood or cow dung cake, upla, which are made from the gobar of guy or fence, right? So these are the biomass. Now what are the advantages of the biomass which our ancestors used to use since centuries? They are easily available, they are very cheap, नो स्किल रिक्वायर्ड टू ऑपरेट. कोई क्लास नहीं चलता भैया चलो आज उपला बनाने का क्लास हम ज्वाइन करते हैं, कैसे उपले से हम खाना बनाते हैं, कैसे काउडंग केक से हम खाना बनाते हैं. देयर आरंट एनी क्लास, मींस नो स्पेशल स्किल इज रिक्वायर्ड. एंड व्हाट आर द डिसएडवांटेजेस ऑफ कन्वेंशनल बायोमास? वेरी लेस इफिशिएंट, हार्डली 8 to 10%. सोचिए जरा, सिर्फ 8 से 10. इसमें थोड़ा सा इंप्रूवमेंट आया था, स्मोकलेस चूल्हा, आप लोगों ने 8th स्टैंडर्ड में पढ़ा होगा, स्मोकलेस चूल्हा, राइट? गिव्स मोर स्मोक एंड एश, and it is health hazardous because it leads to production of smoke and ash. So definitely some sort of improvement are required in this technology. So charcoal and biogas are improvement in this conventional sources of biomass. So this black colored mass, that is nothing but the charcoal, and when this charcoal burns, you can see very easily in the GIF that it does not lead to flame, so it does not lead to smoke, it directly converts into flame, right? So they are quite clean source of energy. Charcoal, what do we do? How do we prepare charcoal? Actually, wood is partially burnt to remove moisture and other volatile substances, right? So it's the only consisting of very useful particles. So now what are the advantage? Charcoal burns without flames and without smoke, and it is having higher efficiency, right? Now what is biogas? Actually cow dung, residue after harvesting the crops, vegetable waste and sewage are decomposed, mind these words, in the absence of oxygen. Anaerobic reaction. Cow dung, residue after harvesting the crops, vegetable waste and sewage are decomposed in the absence of oxygen to give biogas. But why is it known as popularly गोबर gas? इसको गोबर गैस क्यों बोलते हैं भैया? अरे भैया गोबर से बनता है बायोगैस, इसलिए उसको गोबर गैस बोलते हैं. हम जो खाते हैं वो यहां पर जाता है पेट में, वहां पर वो मतलब कि एक रिएक्शन करता है, वहां पर से भी एक गैस बनता है. वो आप लोग वेरी वेल वी हैव ऑलरेडी स्टडीड अबाउट इट, राइट? सो स्लरी में क्या होता है? काउ डंग और बायोमास व्हेन मिक्स्ड विद वाटर इट इज नॉन एज स्लरी. दैट स्लरी विल गो इनसाइड द This digestive tank where anaerobic reaction in absence of oxygen will take place, and after decomposition a gas will be generated known as biogas, and that gas can be used for lighting and heating purpose or cooking purpose. And after extracting this gas, this slurry will now convert into manure, and that manure will be utilized as a fertilizer for the production of crops, etc. Right? Now, what is the composition of biogas? Actually, biogas prominently consists of methane, that is CH4, approximately 70%, and carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, H2S, hydrogen sulfide is also there. This hydrogen sulfide is quite marshy and quite badbudar nature में होता है. Then advantages of the biogas are it is very cheap, very environment friendly. Its byproduct, that is manure, is used as a fertilizer for the crop. Its raw material is quite easily available in the villages. No ash, no smoke, health friendly, high heating capacity, and may be used even for the lighting purposes. Now the next topic is that of wind energy. Now the energy of wind is utilized for the production of electricity. How? Actually, we use wind power plant. Now what are the parts of wind power plant? Generator to create the electricity, to produce the electricity, rotor, blades, and rigid structure or pole. So when wind blows, these rotating blades will start rotating, right? And during this rotation, they will rotate a generator, and generator will produce electricity. These are the various locations from where we can harness the wind energy commercially, right? It is very easily understandable that major part of Western India is quite promising in the nature for the production of wind energy. And for your kind information, it is very clear that India is presently producing 10% of its requirement through the windmills, through the wind energy. Now, what is solar energy? Now, what is the age of the sun? Sun is at just middle of its age, and just Google it out and find out what is the age of sun after the birth and for how many more years it is going to continue its production of energy for the humankind and we people, right? We may generate 4 to 7 units per meter square per day. See, this is the potential of solar energy, right? Now, what are the applications of solar energy? Solar water heater, solar cooker. You can improve the solar cooker like this. Now, what are the demerits of solar energy? मुझे याद है when I was studying in Navodaya Vidyalaya, Porbandar, right? And I had participated in the science exhibition. I was there in regional exhibition at Amravati or national exhibition. I don't exactly remember. But I was given the topic on the elocution, demerits of solar energy. I was confused. भैया ये सूरज दादा हम सबको इतनी एनर्जी देता है, उसकी demerits के बारे में क्या बोलूं? I was quite confused. Anyway, you might have also participated in science exhibition, right, of Navodaya Vidyalayas. So what are the demerits of solar energy? It is not available during the night time. Very low efficiency. Efficiency सूरज दादा की नहीं, हमारे पास कोई ऐसा इक्विपमेंट नहीं है जिसकी मदद से हम लोग सूरज दादा की एनर्जी का एक्सप्लोरेशन या हार्नेसिंग कर सकें. वेरी लो एफिशिएंसी. कॉस्टली, क्योंकि जो प्रोडक्शन टेक्नोलॉजी ऑफ द सोलर पैनल्स है वो क्वाइट कॉम्प्लेक्स है, एंड कॉम्प्लेक्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग टेक्नोलॉजी. सो इवन एंड टुडे सोलर एनर्जी को हम इतना हार्नेस नहीं कर पाए जितना हमें करना चाहिए. बट इवन एज ऑन टुडे वी आर प्रोड्यूसिंग ऑलमोस्ट एज गुड एज 10% ऑफ दोस total energy through the solar means. Now, what are the solar panels? Solar panels are the photovoltaic panels which are used to produce electricity directly from the sun. They convert photo energy of the sun. They convert light energy. They convert heat of the sun. They convert the radiation of the sun directly into electrical energy. They are known as photovoltaic cells, PV cells. They are mostly made of silicon, and each cell generates up to 0.7 watts per day. Now, how to get more than that? We can use series parallel connection for higher voltage and current, right? You know very well that in our home 230 volt 50 hertz supply is there. So by getting 230 volts, we use just series connection and parallel connection for production of electricity at this level. Silver is used for internal connection so that minimum loss occurs, because you know very well that silver is the best conductor of electricity. So we are using silver, but it is very very small in traces. So ये मत सोचना कि हम सोलर पैनल को तोड़ के सिल्वर को ही निकाल लेते हैं और धनवान हो जाते हैं. ऐसा नहीं है भैया. Silver is used in very very low promotion. Now, what are the advantages of the solar panels? No moving parts at all, maintenance free, very long life of approximately 25 years, very easy setup, and a boon to remote area. Why? Because it will be very difficult and economically may not be viable, because the transportation cost, because of the very long length of the wires that are used to transmit electrical energy, they become very costly. But in case of the solar energy, no wires are required at all. जहां भी लगाना है बस सोलर पैनल लगा दो और लगा दो लाइट बल्ब, हो जाएगा इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी सारू, right? Now, what are the application of solar panels? Solar panels are primarily used for the production of electricity. Big solar farms are there in Gujarat as well as in India. So, solar roof plants are also there. Car may also run on solar energy. We are using many toys and traffic lights, calculators, and many devices which runs on solar cells. Now, let us talk about the ocean energy. Actually, there are three types of ways by virtue of which we are harnessing the ocean energy: tidal energy, wave energy, and ocean thermal energy. In case of the tides, the gravitational force of the sun and moon interact with the water of the ocean, and they just attract the water of the ocean, right, through spring tides and nip tides. And due to these tides, the level of the water will rise or drop. Due to this rise and drop, we may harness this energy through this type of the turbine, right? While rising and lowering of the water level, the water will come and go. And during this incoming and outgoing waves of the water, this turbine will start rotating, and this will lead to the production of electricity through the generator. Now, this is a wave, a very big potential this wave has, but unfortunately we are not able to harness the full amount of energy from these waves of the sun. But yet we are having smaller ways to harness this type of energy through this type of different ways, by virtue of which we can convert the wave energy into electricity. Now, the next topic is that of the ocean thermal energy. It is very clear that the temperature of the ocean at the surface is quite higher than that of the temperature at the lower level of the ocean. So, difference of the temperature of this ocean is harnessed for production of electricity if it is more than 20 degrees centigrade. And low melting material like ammonia is used for the boiling purposes. So, what is the working principle? From point number 1, it is very clear that it is as, say for example, at 25 degrees centigrade. So, ammonia will just heat up, it will boil up, and it will rotate the turbine. After rotating the turbine, it will go deep inside the surface of the earth, deep inside of the ocean where it is very cold water is there. So it will be condensed, right? And then through the ammonia pump, it will again go towards the surface of the ocean where it is again heated. Now again it will go to turbine, it will rotate the turbine. Now it will again go beneath the lower level of the ocean. Now it will condense through ammonia pump again. Now will go to the evaporator where again this warm water will heat it, and this cycle continues for indefinite period, and turbine will start rotating and it will lead to production of electricity through the generator. But it is very clear that the ocean is having very big potential of energy, but it is very difficult to commercially exploit this energy. We are having very big potential, just like this man. पर इसको बोल दे भैया ये मानो कि 20 किलोग्राम आपको 5वें मंजिला पर 5वें फ्लोर पर चढ़ाना है, प्लीज जाइए। ये क्या बोलेगा? भैया मेरे पास एनर्जी तो बहुत है लेकिन मैं काम नहीं कर पाता हूं, थक जाता हूं। सेम थिंग इज देयर, वी आर नॉट एबल टू हार्नेस commercially exploit the full potential of ocean energy as well as the sun energy, right? Now, what is geothermal energy? Due to geothermal changes, molten rocks formed in the deeper hot region of Earth's crust are pushed upward and trapped in certain regions called hot spots. When underground water directly comes in contact with this hot spot, a steam will be generated, and water from that hot regions find outlets at certain surfaces, and such outlets where we get hot streams coming out of the earth's surface, they are known as hot springs. These hot springs, they are used to rotate the turbine and they produce electricity. Actually, through the world map, it is very clear that in India, we are having very few sites, but in case of the New Zealand, USA, there are many sites which lead to the production of electricity through the geothermal. However, in India, Puga Valley of Ladakh is a promising site where we can harness this geothermal energy for the production of electricity. These are the certain sites where this type of the steam will come out, and the upper part of crust of the earth will be quite heated in the nature, and hence we can conclude that yes, this may be commercially viable or not a spot for production of electricity. This is the photograph of geothermal power plant where steam heated under the molten rocks is converted, is utilized, is harnessed, is exploited to produce electricity to rotate turbine. Now what is nuclear energy? Actually we are having two types of nuclear energy, nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. In case of nuclear fission, a slow moving neutron when strikes on the uranium 235, then it will break down into smaller segments, smaller fragments like beryllium and krypton, right? And then it will lead to the production of 3 neutrons as well as large amount of energy, heat energy. So what do we observe? We observe that a larger nucleus is broken down into smaller fragments in case of nuclear fission along with the energy. Whereas in case of nuclear fusion, two smaller atoms combine with each other and they produce energy, right? So nuclear fission, fragmentation into smaller parts, nuclear fusion, combination of small nucleus into bigger one, right? This nuclear fusion actually takes place in the sun and they produce energy, right? These are the nuclear power plants in India. For example, Kota in Rajasthan, Kakrapar and Tarapur in Gujarat, Kaiga in Karnataka, Kudankulam, Madras and Narora. Now what are the demerits of nuclear power plants? Storage and disposal of the waste. They are actually radioactive in nature. Hence, storage and disposal of the waste is quite difficult. Decaying into harmful subatomic particles. For example, after uranium 235 fission, beryllium and krypton, they are produced, but they both are radioactive in nature. For the hundreds of years, they will continuously liberating, they will be continuously giving out harmful radiation. They may lead to environmental contamination and to cancer to our body as well as animals. There are definitely leakages of accidental leakages. There are chances of accidental leakages. There is risk of accidental leakages from the nuclear reactors, right? And they are having very complex technology, so they are very costly in nature. Now what are nuclear bombs? Nuclear bombs are nothing but the uncontrolled fission or fusion reaction. Nuclear bombs are nothing but uncontrolled fission or fusion reaction, so that whole amount of energy, drastic amount of energy, tremendous amount of energy will be produced in a very small amount of time, in a very small span of time. Hence it will just blast like a bomb and huge amount of heat will be produced. It will devast the whole area on which this nuclear bomb might be dropped. Now these are the two bombs that have been used in human history so far. The little boy and fat man, they were respectively dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki on 6th August 1945 and 9th August 1945 on Japan, and that had concluded the World War II by the surrender of Japan. The bomb, little boy, which was dropped on Hiroshima, had used uranium-235 as the fission material, and the bomb Fat Man, which was dropped on 9th August 1945 on Nagasaki, had used plutonium-239 material, right? And see, even today you find there are varieties of defects that we can see on humankind as well as the plant. These are the worst ever days of human history. Presently, the world has so many nuclear bombs that it is possible to completely devast the earth, wipe out the total living bodies, whether it is plant or animal, throughout the world for hundreds of years. We should never use this nuclear energy, this nuclear technology for the harmful ways. They should be better utilized for the productive ways. And this was the man, Albert Einstein. He had given the equation energy is equal to mc square, where E is equal to mc square, where E stands for energy, m stands for the mass that has been lost in the reaction which converts into energy, and C is the light, that is 3 into 10 raised to 8. For more such videos, stay tuned to our channel, RKSS Free Education. Thank you for watching.